Which Enfield match that you played in would you most like to be able to watch, and why?
More than likely, my first game in the first team, which was a local derby against Barnet. And I suppose that's the game I remember most, or don't remember, as such. But that's a game, because it was a good game.
Well, probably the two semi-finals that we played against Kingstonian to get to Wembley. We played one at the first one at Stamford Bridge, and the second one was at Craven Cottage. And obviously we won the second one, the replay. We drew the first one at Stamford Bridge. So I would say possibly the second one where we won. Can't actually remember the score now, but I think we got three goals.
3-2.
3-2 was it? Yeah, I knew. I had a feeling we got three goals, but perhaps that particular game, and the reason, obviously strangely, was that we got to Wembley, but as you know, I didn't get there, but I did get on the programme. I'm in the programme.
Did you have a favourite opposition ground, and why?
In those days, I don't think many of the grounds were that. You had quite a few sort of peculiar grounds, but I think possibly the one that looked, if you like, more like a professional ground was Dulwich Hamlet. Although they were the old school type, they were Corinthian casual types in those days, but they had a nice stadium in those days, although they weren't one of the better sides. Perhaps way back they were, I think, possibly. I quite enjoyed playing at Dulwich.
A lot of the grounds were nice grounds. All the kind of top clubs, you didn't mind playing there. There was only a few where you went, where they just got a railing around the fence, and
Red Hill.
Yeah, Red Hill, was part of a park, and you was playing senior football there, But the favourite, I wouldn't say, of course, it was Enfield. I suppose it was a favourite. Yeah, we liked playing at home.
Yeah, best pitch in the league.
Yeah.
Malcolm, who was the best player that you played with at Enfield?
No, not me.
Well, there was a lot of good players, but the one I think, is Jimmy Quayle.
Yeah. Great.
He for an amateur player, he was. But though I never played there, only a few games. He come when virtually I was going. I only played the odd games with him. But in the side when we went to Wembley, there was a lot of good players. You can't choose one over the other. In them days, they played positions. You had wingers, you had halfbacks, and that's where they played. And
5-3-2-1.
He was the best. They were just good players.
Which of your Enfield teammates do you think could have played at a higher standard if they'd, in the Football League, if they'd wanted to, and why?
Well, I think there was quite a lot, as we say, Jimmy Quayle, Terry Howard, Roger Day. They, in today's game, they would all be millionaires. That they were that kind of class if they wanted to be pro. But I think still, when we're talking about the early 60s, footballers' wages was still a maximum of £20 a week.
Mm.
I'm not sure of the date, but I'm sure it's the kind of the end of the 50s or the beginning of the 60s. That was all they were allowed to earn, was £20 a week in wages.
Well, yeah, Jimmy would definitely be a guy that would have played at a higher standard. Terry Howard possibly. Tommy Lawrence, he was he was an outstanding centre forward. And in those days, I'm not saying now, but in those days, this type of centre forward he was what most professional teams had. Big, Nat Loffelhouse type players, which he was. And he was a good, strong, hard-working player. So there were quite a few in the Enfield. And I played with Jimmy at Hendon. I also played with Jimmy prior to that because we was at Wilson Schools together. So I'm probably biased against about Jimmy making it. I think he would have made it in that sort of standard in them days quite comfortably.
Which piece of ephemera or memorabilia relating to your time at Enfield means the most to you?
Well, it's got to be the medal. Everyone says I could have scored a goal in the final, but when I think back, in them days there was 11 medals, and I could have scored that and gone to the replay, and Molly wouldn't have got a medal. And so I kind of think, well, I was so lucky to end up with a medal. If things had gone their way, I could have ended up without a medal. But so that's right. And of course, anything to do with the cup final, because it was so kind of special to Enfield. Being the first time, I know they'd got semi-finals, but the first time getting to Wembley, the whole kind of town, you don't realise how many people there are supporting it.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a medal because I didn't play, but that would have been possibly if you played for Enfield and Hendon. In those days, the period of time I was at Hendon, they were very successful, not because of me, but they were successful. And the time I was at Enfield, so I got quite a lot of memorabilia, medal-wise. So any one of those particular medals I got for winning the league, the Isthmian League and the Athenian League, they're probably, it's very difficult to pick one out. They're equal in their memorability, if you like. So it's very difficult to pick one out, but let's just say all of them meant equally the same.
Did you have a nickname?
A couple really, which doesn't relate to my football. If I phone, say Jimmy Quayle, if you like, because we've known each other for 50 years, I suppose. We were 60 years. 60 years. And if I phone up and I say, speak to them, and same as Gordon Sedgley, probably one or two of the others as well, but I speak to them, and Roger Day, they're the ones that come to mind that I speak to mostly, I suppose. And they'll either say, oh, PC or Constable. So in a way, I suppose that you can say that they're nicknames that they've decided that because of my job that I was in, and that's what they call me. As far as on the field, I've been called a few names on the field for various reasons, so I'm not going to go into that. But no, those are we say affectionate type, and they're said with affection. They're not said with anything detrimental. So those two particular words are quite nice.
What about you, Malcolm?
Well, I think everyone knows I had a nickname, which was Mitch. Yeah, and I went for some years, and I can remember someone saying, "Well, what's his Christian name?" And not a soul knew what it was. They always known me just as Mitch. They didn't even know my Christian name.
I did.
Yeah.
Enfield traditionally had a larger than average travelling support. What did their encouragement mean to you?
Oh, it meant everything. Trying to think back on memorable things that it's very difficult when you get to a certain age. There are things you've forget, but I remember one particular time where we took just train and coach loads of supporters, and it was a period of time where the one particular team, I think they come from the Midlands, were sort of they were beating Isthmian League sides, Hendon, and in the Amateur Cup, and we went up to this particular game, and it was on television there. It was I think I'm trying to think. Woolston was the commentator, and I think he had his hut, if you like, up in a tree with scaffolding, and there was. I read this last year sometime. I was looking through my programs, loads of programs, and they reckoned that at this particular ground, Alvechurch, and they reckon there was 10,000 people there watching that game. That's what this, and they, as I say, they previously beaten Wealdstone and Hendon in the cup, and they had a school teacher that was the coach, and Alfie played. I think Tommy played, and as I say, we beat them there. You know, it was quite, and the support we got was fantastic. You know, as I say, there was a special train, and loads of coaches from Enfield. I'm not saying the 10,000 were from Enfield, but I bet a good half of that were from Enfield at least. You know, because it was a bit of a story going on for this little team that nobody had heard of, but they are known now, obviously. But in that particular situation, they weren't, and it was quite an occasion to be involved in. You know.
I think we could say we was one of the best supported, especially away supporters. You know, how so many people were kind of dedicated to follow Enfield. Right, I know when I was playing, there was a very good team, and people would, because you was following a winning side, and you always get a lot more people who were prepared to travel if they know their side, you know, is in there with the chance of winning. You know, if you start losing, then this kind of away support seems to drop off. But you know, being such a good, but you know, I think with anything, you know, you get the crowd behind you, or the crowd, or just the people who are there, and we used to have a few kind of characters as well, you know, that used to follow Enfield, you know, and I think that what made it, you know, you had people on your side, you know, and playing in goal, you know, you next to the crowd, you used to get a lot of kind of remarks from the opponent, you know, supporters, which you just had to kind of shut out and get on with the game. You know, it was so easy to lose concentration, you know, with someone behind the goal saying things to you, you know, where you would like to reply to them. You had to concentrate on the game what was being played.